At First National Bank in Taylorville, switching banks isn't a hassle. It's easy by real people who care. Find out why they've been first every time for over 70 years by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai. We've got the spring primary elections coming up in just under a month away. And if you live in Christian County, you'll have part of the ballot for voting for the next Christian County sheriff, or at least the Republican nominee for Christian County Sheriff. And one of those candidates is my next guest here. I'm talking about Chief Deputy Jim Baker, who is currently with the Christian County Sheriff's Office. Chief Deputy Baker, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you in to talk about this. First, I'd love if you could just give our listeners a bit of an overview of why it is you're running for sheriff and why you think you're qualified for the role.
Yeah, well, I've been serving the citizens in Christian County for the past 27 years, and I've been fortunate to have over a decade experience as in a supervisory role. And with being the chief deputy, I handle the daily operations, the $4 million budget, policies, procedures, stuff like that. And I think it's given me the experience. When I took over that role, I wanted to gain as much experience to be prepared to maybe be the next sheriff of Christian County.
Now, being in the Christian County Sheriff's Department already, you have seen plenty of the working so far. What do you see as, the biggest challenge that currently faces the sheriff's office?
Well, I think we're multifaceted. We're always combating drugs, crime, domestics, but challenges moving forward seem to be a lot focused on, I'd like to put an emphasis on, protecting the youth through, to prevent child exploitation and grooming, work with state and federal agencies, as well as some grant funding to prevent some of that. But one of the biggest challenges is mental health. Mental health seems to be an epidemic, statewide. We deal with it in the field as well as in the jail. A lot of times these people are having a mental health crisis and the deputies are the first ones to respond, but they're not mental health professionals. I have been working with the health department. My vision or goal is to eventually have an on-call advocate or professional that once we secure it, we can get somebody out there in the field to assist with that crisis, as well as making regular visits more often in the jail to provide mental health stability within the jail. So that's a huge thing.
And yeah, we may get a little more into those issues a little bit later. In terms of other aspects kind of the job in general, how do you see it, the best way to balance law enforcement with trust and transparency from the community that you're going to serve?
Yeah, so there again, with handling daily operations, we adhere to all the requirements for the FOIAs. I believe a sheriff's office is something that I've been fortunate to have gained the experience in, things when it comes to transparency, accountability. As serving the community, you have to be transparent and balance fiscal responsibility to the people we serve and to those taxpayers. So there again, I believe that transparency and accountability is a huge thing to, we're providing a service to the citizens, and there's always ways to improve that.
And then you mentioned mental health a little bit earlier. You talked about one of the changes you were going to maybe try to implement. What role would the sheriff's office itself play, or what role do you think it should play in mental health and crisis response situations?
Well, we've always got a responsibility of check welfare, suicidal subjects, stuff like that. Our role is obviously to provide as much help and service to those going through that crisis as possible. So there again, we just need to, we could always use more resources, but it's an overall public safety. We want a safer outcome by having resources for not just the deputy responding, but the person going through the crisis.
And you mentioned resources. That actually kind of goes into the next question I was going to ask. So you talked about bringing in some new resources that would probably lead to some other decisions you'd have to make. Any other significant changes you'd make to how resources are currently allocated, and what kinds of changes you'd want to make to make sure you kind of stay within your means?
Yeah. So When it comes to resources, some of the best avenues we've got, since being chief deputy, I've acquired over $140,000 worth of grant funding for equipment, safety concerns, implementation, as well as we started a MAR program within the jail to provide recovery program resources. There again, I've been in contact with the local FBI agency in Springfield, as well as worked with the state police, bringing those resources in and getting funding for equipment to combat child exploitation, as well as mental health through grant funding and resources like that. I also speak to several legislators about our needs and how we can continue to improve the service that we're providing.
And then actually that leads into my next question yet again, where, working with county leaders, other agencies, other politicians, I would imagine that's something you would be doing more of as a sheriff. How do you see maybe the way that goes changing if you become the sheriff?
Yeah, so there again, fortunately, I have worked with the Sheriff's Association to gain the knowledge on our input for things with legislation, with the things like the Safety Act, and making amendments and changes to those things are something that the sheriff, it's a voice for Christian County. And so that's what we need to focus on as sheriff, is to basically continue what we're doing to work with, just like the county board, in collaboration with them when we do MOUs or any indemnification issues that would basically put the county at risk. We've got to always be vigilant about, the liability aspects of anything we do, as well as being mindful for taxpayer funds.
And you talked about this a little bit earlier in terms of community trust and transparency. When it comes to interacting with the public and media, kind of what's your stance on that, and what can listeners in our area expect in terms of how you'll interact with news sources like us? Yeah.
So I believe since I took over in chief deputy almost 5 years ago, sheriff allowed me to start getting the experience with all the local TV stations, as well as here. As you know, we come in once a month to provide a monthly review of what's going on. One of my big initiatives in communications and transparency was, I led the acquisition of the sheriff's app. I'm the one that runs that, post on it. I've got some guys that help me out when it comes to road closures, but there again, I wanted a better way to communicate directly with the community. So that's why I implemented the connecting the citizens with the sheriff's office. And there again, we're able to push it real-time information out through the app. But at any request of anybody, I just done an interview the other day about the new Locking Your Gun Safety Act up. There's not a news media out there that doesn't have my contact, my information. And I've seen the benefits of the current sheriff communicating directly with the public and getting that information out through press releases and through media interviews. So I will be a big proponent and continue, just like I have for the past 5 years, to cooperate and communicate with the media to get transparency and information out.
In terms of your deputies, there's a lot of talk about how they're trained and all of that. It's evolved a lot through, or for a variety of reasons. What steps will you take to ensure that those deputies receive the training and support that they need?
That's a good question. So just recently, with the acquiring the 214 Market Street for the admin building, I focused some drug seizure money into creating a training room that now seats 40 with some technical equipment. And we plan to host regional training for the area, not only for our officers, but it makes it easier for the officers to attend. The state sets mandated training, but we'll promote as much training as possible. That's why just in the last month, we completed a updated training facility in the basement of the sheriff's office. So we'll continue to get, I don't think that there's ever been a time where a deputy said, hey, I'd like to go to this advanced training class or more training, that we didn't make arrangements for that to happen. I want the guys to have as much training as possible. We already do that, but we're going to work at bringing in-house training in more often as well.
So you've got the training coming up in your plans there. And I'm speaking right now with Chief Deputy Jim Baker. He's a candidate for the Christian County Sheriff. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Hey you, it's Amanda McKay, the Director of Human Resources at Kimmer Village. Kimmer Village is hiring for residential techs now. We offer competitive pay, full benefits, paid time off, tuition assistance, and a retirement plan that invests in you. Here you're not just clocking in, you're building a future for yourself, your family, and mentoring the youth we serve. Apply today at kimmervillage.org.
As we huddle down for hopefully the last blast of winter, don't yawn your way through February. Cozy up to huge February savings at Just Beds. Get $100 off any size Sealy Posturepedic Patterson Ultra Firm or Pillow Top mattress. Let us cure your tired nights and groggy mornings with $200 off a Sealy Posturepedic DuPont Soft, Pillow Top, or Hybrid mattress. Sleep better, feel better, yawn never with Just Beds. With free delivery, setup, and removal.
Just Beds.
Borman's Auto Sales in Shelbyville could show you how easy it is to buy a quality used car. With over 50 years of business, they know that fair prices, superior service, and treating customers right leads to satisfied return buyers. The staff at Borman's Auto Sales will help you find the car you deserve at a price to fit your budget. Shop the virtual showroom of quality program vehicles and lease returns at Bormans.com. Or stop by 224 West Main Street and take a test drive. Borman's Auto Sales in Shelbyville.
Finding the right employees can be a real challenge these days, whether you're hiring full-time or part-time. That's where the regional radio stations come in. We're here to help you connect with the qualified candidates you need. Check out IllinoisJobPost.com. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. It's part of our comprehensive radio and internet employment campaign designed to get your job openings noticed. For details, just reach out to your account manager. Put the power of radio and the internet to work for you at IllinoisJobPost.com.
Hey there, loyal listeners. This is your team at Regional Radio with a quick heads up. Some of the great programming you enjoy throughout the day is pre-recorded, but don't worry. We're still bringing you the same local content you love. Our legal team insisted we mention this, and hey, keeping the attorneys happy keeps us on the air. So thanks for tuning in and being part of the Regional Radio family. We're proud to bring local, compelling content to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Will Perkins with Taylorville Community Credit Union. Find out about all the products and services we provide by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Winter's coming fast. Don't face it alone. Get on the waiting list now at Taylorville Estates Assisted Living, 705 South Houston. As winter weather hits, make the call and don't fall. Click their icon today at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Chief Deputy Jim Baker, who is with the Christian County Sheriff's Department, and he is also running to be the next Christian County Sheriff. And I want to get to this next question, which I think is actually quite timely. Of course, we had the governor's State of the State address yesterday. He laid out the state's budget. So, surely that'll be something on the mind of sheriffs across the state. How would you go about kind of managing the department's budget while also maintaining public safety and working within your means of what you get from the state?
Yeah, so obviously we have funds that come in through the state from the Cannabis Act and the drug seizure money and stuff. I've gained the experience over the last 5 years as being solely responsible for preparing the sheriff's $4.5 million budget, and I'm proud to say that's coming in at a balanced budget. So I'll continue just like I have, always making top priority for fiscally responsible for the budget that I currently operate and run. It's given me the opportunity to gain that knowledge of how we can serve the community and be fiscally responsible.
When you look at the sheriff's department as kind of a whole, how do you measure success for the department and for the county from a public safety standpoint?
So I would say one of the things that we're most successful at is most of the time when we get these the hire somebody as a sheriff's deputy, they tend to make that a lifelong career. We serve the community. I think that the arrests and the proactive input from the deputies speaks volume in how we're serving the community, and it's a tight knit group that basically works well together to accomplish the goal, and they're always willing to step up and work together.
And so what you said, it sort of suggested that there hasn't been a whole lot of turnover, at least in terms of deputies or other folks serving in the sheriff's office. Does that sound accurate?
No, I would say staffing is always going to be, has gone on in any agency or department. The guys tend to look at advancing their career with more opportunities. We've lost some to the state police, but it's a smaller minority. I would say that basically we're closer to the 85% that take the job and stay. But staffing, you're always going to be looking at people that's looking to advance. I did, when it comes to staffing, one of my main goals in the last 4.5 years was to get an additional deputy to better serve. I was able to acquire additional staffing, not only in the dispatch and jail, but for the first time in 23 years, provided enough information and worked with the county board to acquire an extra deputy for patrol.
Okay, so you're adding the staffing there, and you said 85%. Is that
retention of
okay.
Most of them stay.
Okay.
That's where I was, would say roughly 85% make it a lifelong career to serve the community that they've been hired that they grew up in.
Yeah, and then just looking through some of the stuff you provided, you mentioned restarting the Triad program. Talk a little bit about that and how that helps protect seniors.
Yeah, so if elected sheriff, I want to reinstitute the Triad program locally here at the sheriff's office to basically provide them with fraud prevention education, as well as work with things like the SOS mobile driver's license renewal, and just be a bridge gap for those seniors to where they feel comfortable not only in identity theft or fraud or something like that, but they have an avenue and connection there.
And then we're getting into just about the last 2 minutes or so. What message do you want residents to hear about safety in the county?
So Christian County will continue to make as the sheriff, I will continue to make Christian County Sheriff's Office available to the citizens for any safety concerns, questions, or bridge the gap for anything that they need when it comes to resources. Additionally, I think bringing some of the advisory boards that I sit on with the Illinois State Police Drug Task Force, Lincoln Land Community Law Enforcement Advisory Group, as well as the chairman of the Christian 911 Board. It's always about safety in the community and what we're providing for a service to make sure that we're protecting the citizens in Christian County, not only physically protecting them at crimes, but protecting them at be a voice for them for bad policing procedures at a state level, and protect them as much as possible.
All right. Well, Chief Deputy Baker, we've got just about a minute left. I'll let you make one final pitch to voters as to why they should choose you for sheriff.
Well, I will say this: when the voters go to the polls, they're basically hiring, right? It's the only difference is they're the voters. They're hiring somebody for sheriff, and that sheriff needs to be able to do the job from day one. It's not something you learn after the job. I've got the years of experience. I've been leading with experience, serving with integrity, and believe that I've had the opportunity to get the experience needed to be your next sheriff from day one. Any job that they go to hire, they look at their resume, proven results, and experience, and I believe that I have that to be the next sheriff of Christian County.
That is Chief Deputy Jim Baker with the Christian County Sheriff's Department. He is also a candidate for Christian County Sheriff. Chief Deputy Baker, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening here on WTIM, your information station. This, of course, is the WTIM Morning Show. We're sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. Stay tuned. In about 10 minutes, we'll have one more conversation right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. Don't go anywhere.
Your information station, WTIM.